Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Week 8 Front of House Design. My name is Stephen Hilbort. So in this week's course, what we'll be doing is that we'll be going over some of the basic areas of the front of house design. As you have probably seen in your announcements, this week we will not be having a live class. So if you're watching this, you're not missing any class. We're not having a live class, and next week you'll be reporting to the career fair instead of class to see what kind of opportunities are out there for you. What I will do in this particular class is go through all of the front of house areas and the design implications that they will have. And this will prepare you for on week 10, so in 2 weeks from now, when you will do your final 10% assignment of creating a front of house design area. Now, a couple things that we will be looking at here today is some basic layouts for front of house design. And the great thing about front of house design is that it is more or less applicable to almost any environment. So maybe perhaps not in a prison environment, but even long term, you might change out some of the seating. But as far as spacing issues and the different styles that you want to see, you can apply this to any non-commercial or commercial environment. So as you can see here, what we're looking at is just a front of house and back of house layout, similar to what you will be responsible for creating when it comes to your final major project. But you can see that they have a bunch of different seating options. They have booth seatings, they have high tops, they have regular 4-seaters, and they have some patio seating as well. Here it gives you a different appeal or a different idea of how this could look as well. So here you're looking at a bunch of different seating, and what is great about this is that this is also very flexible and adaptable, where you can be able to move around and easily pull in, as an example, where's my mouse? These 3 seats here, you could pull them into a 6-seater and even pull some of these tables down, push them all up against each other, and easily fit 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 people, which gives you a lot of versatility. And then you have booth seating, which is typically very popular in a lot of restaurants. Again, just another viewpoint of what could be, where this one is obviously applying a lot more of the vegetation aspect as well, and also showing warmth and colors and gives you an idea of what the inside may feel like. And finally, 1 or 2 more here just to, again, give you an idea. Now, I personally don't love this layout. It does work, and as you can see, you'll enter in these doors. Right here, you have your waiting area, and this is the first stop, the waiting and host desk area. From there, they will either be brought into the bar side, they can be brought into the patio, or they can be brought into their actual restaurant. Washrooms are up here in the top left. These look like they're big open bay windows, so lots of fresh and natural light coming in. And the thing I don't like is just this cafeteria style kind of no design aspects where, you know, if I'm sitting at this middle table and I'm surrounded by these 8 other tables all around me, it's noisy, it's loud, I'm bumping chairs, it doesn't feel right. So the use of half walls and full walls and separating area is quite important. From a logistical standpoint, this isn't horrible because you can see your pathways are quite open. There might be a couple areas that I would consider maybe some traffic hazards where people are entering and leaving the kitchen at the same time that guests are walking to the bathroom. But for the most part, it does make sense. And again, just another layout of a dining room here with a big courtyard. They would walk in through the courtyard and into their bar and dining room, and they have their whole restaurant floor plan. Sorry about this one, it's a little blurry. So when it comes to the main areas of the dining room and what we'll be looking at, we'll have a main dining area, which doesn't need to be one dining area. Sometimes there can be 2 or 3 or 4 dining areas. You know, if you were to walk into a Jack Astor's, the Keg, Milestones, they have separated areas which will have 10 or 12 tables in each one. So it's just a good way of staffing, because on a Monday, as an example, on a Monday afternoon when you have less people in your restaurant, you still want to give the appeal that it's busy. So you might close off some of your other dining areas and just keep one open with a limited amount of tables, and it gives that illusion of it being busier and more full. You may also have some private dining rooms where you can host some parties or some different events, patio seating, a bar area, an entry and waiting area. So when you first walk in, how does that work? Where do you stand? Is there a place for you to sit? Who greets you? What are the doors like? Is there a vestibule? We look at server stations that need to be placed strategically throughout the floor plan. And then, of course, some public washrooms. So your main dining area or main dining room, you want to consider how formal your restaurant will be. Will booth seating enhance or just detract from your decor and also your logistics? So when it comes to booth seating, we often have to be careful if it's a long-term care center, because often with the booth seating, it's difficult to get in and out, although it is more comfortable. So, I've seen booth seating that also has hand rails that you can easily grab and pull yourself up, which offers the comfort and the illusion of more sophistication, but also allows people with a little bit less mobility to easily get in and out by producing a simple bar handle. So those things are available. Are you going to offer a takeout service? Because if you do, you want the takeout service to be not located directly close to your dining room. Is there a bar or a lounge area? Can you adjust the areas by party sizes, so change different tables? And then finally, what kind of furniture and decor should support your theme of your restaurant? So when you select your furniture, you want to pay close attention to the quality and the durability of it. Often when it comes to restaurant equipment, you pay for quality. So it can be expensive, but if it lasts a long time down the road and it's a good piece of equipment which has a good warranty, that's maybe something you want to look at. Before you purchase any furniture, you do want to ask questions about what kind of material will reflect your restaurant's theme, if the furniture you're considering is appropriate, and if replacement parts are readily available. I'm going to move my guy up here, I think. Might be. Oh, I don't know where he went. Okay, see you later. You also might want to consider how difficult your upholstery is to clean and if it will hold up under frequent and constant use. I'm sorry, I have no idea where my face went. Well, you don't get it. It's gone. Lighting and decor. So guests in your restaurant will subconsciously feel the impact of light and color. Light and color really amplify all the design that's already in there. So you want to associate with your overall dining experience. Yeah, a small room could benefit from some brighter colors and lighter shades. It opens it up. A dim lighting and warm, dark colors make a large room feel less overwhelming and more cozy. So light colors expand, dark colors retract. So it brings it in a little tighter. If I were to paint, oh, you can't even see me. If I were to paint this office that I'm standing in a dark color, it would feel very closed in and tight. Studies also show that bright lights and primary colors encourage a faster turnover. So if you're a breakfast or a lunch place and specifically, you would probably encourage that feel versus if you are a fine dining intimate restaurant, you want something more subtle to create a more peaceful, leisurely environment. So this right here is a very intimate look at a dining room where they've used a whole lot of different design aspects up in the ceiling, but really nice fabrics, comfortable chairs, and dim lighting. This is just a little slide to give you an idea of the colors of interior design and some of the feelings that they get. As well with what we do in the situations that we work, specifically long-term care, and there's a mental health component as well. So something like a red or an orange often can encourage intensity, anger, excitement, impulsiveness, fear, confidence. In a sports bar environment, in a pub environment, in a diner, that's not horrible. But in a place where we're trying to encourage long-lasting health, something of yellows and blues and greens often provide a more calm, patient, relaxed feel to it. So as you can see here, this is one of our designs. So they've used a lot of yellow fabrics and colors to really soften the place up and very comfortable seating. And they've also incorporated their bar area into their dining room, which gives it a little bit more life and action, which is kind of nice. So it's not just a room with a bunch of seats, but rather it's a room and the bar is a bit where the action can happen. And you'll see people making drinks and conversing and that lovely stuff. Here is what I would believe is a horrible, ugly design, but it is playful and it is fun and it is friendly and it gives an appeal of like the under the water feel to it. I hate the carpet personally. I hate the gaudiness of the lights, but this, to a lot of people, this is a really fantastically designed place, and it's that nautical feel. Through the glazed glass, it looks like we're almost underwater, although if you look on the horizon, you will see the water line there. The patio dining area is an excellent way to enlarge your seating and benefit from beautiful weather. Although we do need to understand that here in Ontario and Canada specifically, we might get a 4 to 6 month patio season. Make sure you make use of any market umbrellas or awnings to obstruct the sun, because in June, July, August, and September, that hot sun beating down on your residents or your customers could really affect them. You can also use, as we've seen throughout the pandemic, outdoor heaters to broaden the life of your patio in those colder months or when we have capacities that we're unable to fulfill. If your patio area is large, you might need its own bar in which to just increase the service, and that way they don't have to be going inside and outside in order to serve a drink. So as you can see here, this is an outdoor patio, although it gives you a really nice indoor-outdoor feel. It has lots of vegetation and enclosure, so it gives you, again, you're not sitting out on the street, but it also ties in enough of the outdoor elements that you do feel like you're outside. These lovely awnings that retract, nice tables, comfortable seating, well, maybe not comfortable seating, and then just the inside is right over there. So you don't feel like the inside is also meshed in with the outside, and at nighttime, this probably lights up quite lovely. Entryway and waiting area is a big part. Probably the bar and the entryway and waiting area is one of the two major areas that you need to consider with your floor plan, because this one is the first one that we go into, and it's the first sight that your customer has and the first perception or impression that your customer will have of this area. I know specifically that long-term care does not do a good job of this. It's often just you go from a hallway right into some sort of dining area. There's very rarely its own kind of entry. So if you have the space and if you are able to develop something like that, you will increase the customer happiness or your client-patient happiness. If you are having a host platform, which you may or may not need, you might want to have it where customers, they can put their name and party numbers taken. There might be a waiting area, so some nice seating for people until they're ready. What we have seen is that as we're coming out of pandemic and numbers are going up of how many beds that we can have and how many residents we can have, often our dining areas may not fit every single person in retirement care anyways. Long-term care, sometimes they eat in their rooms or meals are brought to them. In a retirement home, often what you'll see is that you might have seating for 100 and you might have residents that are 140. So that host area will play an important part as far as there might be a wait, there may be some kind of planning that needs to happen there, as well as we don't ever know how often people will come down for their meals. So while we do have, quote unquote, a captive audience, we don't know if we're going to get 100% of them one day and all 140 come down to our 100-seat dining room, or only 60 of them come down. And also, this is a place in the more retail area for merchandising. So you may exhibit some merchandising or gift records. You might encourage people to check out some of their things. I know a lot of breweries and a lot of pubs sell their own sauces and their own pickled beans and T-shirts and you name it. There may be a coat check. It doesn't really happen anymore. Usually what happens is in long-term care, they're within the same building. And in retail, they will have places by the seats in which they can put their coats. I would say a vestibule is almost required. What you can do is one of two things. You can either develop a vestibule, which is just another small room with two sets of doors. So the one set of doors closes, keeps some of the drafts of the outside weather coming in. And also on a hot summer day, will keep a lot of the hot air from coming into your air-conditioned floor. You may also use what's the word here? I can't think of this word. The whirly twirly door, the revolving door, in which to also reduce the drafts. It doesn't work as well, but takes a lot less space. You may have some dessert displays. It's more of an old-time thing, but it does still happen. And then also maybe some reviews or articles concerning your restaurants in this area. It is a very good marketing place, the waiting area, specifically in retail, because you can let them know about future events and new dishes and things that they can participate in. The waiting area is, with the exclusion of quick service and reservation only establishments, nearly all other restaurants should hope for the best and offer their patrons a good waiting area, something that they can be comfortable in, that if it's a high-end restaurant and they are willing to wait for a table, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, then kind of set them up so they're able to maybe have a drink, maybe they can even have an appetizer. So owners often believe that it's a waste of potential table space, but if your restaurant remains full almost all the time, you will see that the return on investment for that space is not used inappropriately. And then the bar area. So the bar should be the focal point of your restaurant. It has a strong visual impact on your guests. It is the life of your restaurant. It's where most of the people see a lot of the action. It's the backup waiting area as well. So if the restaurant dining area is full, and the bar area is not, they can go and have a drink up at the bar. They can go and sit at a table and chat. The bar is usually close to the waiting area. As well, it shares a back wall with the kitchen. So it's pretty important that it does share a back wall with the kitchen. It doesn't need to, but usually what happens is that you have a lot of electrical, plumbing. You also have all of your draft lines and some refrigeration that needs to be close to that bar area. An inside bar usually has a large window opening onto the patio or which can serve as an outside bar in that patio season. So again, we're just going to give you a couple ideas of some really neat design bars. Again, take a look at the color schemes that they use and the lighting. So this particular one it has under bar lights, it has foot rail lights, it has all these lovely Edison bulb pendant lighting, and then just with all this stainless steel and glassware and lights around it, it really just glows beautifully. It's a high-end place to be. Glass washer. So when you think about bar equipment, you will need a glass washer 100%. You should never be cleaning your glassware in the same dishwasher that the food dishes are going in. So if you think about having a really expensive, nice glass of wine that costs you $25, and you find a piece of garlic or horseradish or lettuce or something in that glass. So a glass washer like this is what they call I think they call it a dolphin, but basically it's just, you put the glass on one side, it rotates all around, and then it has a little sensory and it stops it. Or you can just go the pass-through where you just put it in, but you have the good thing about the one on the left is that you can wash a glass or two at a time, whereas in this one, you need a full load before you should wash it. Server stations, they are located throughout the whole restaurant, approximately one server station per 3 servers. And think about your busiest nights. You can probably go up to 4, but if you have 12 servers on a full floor on your on a busy night, have at least 3 up to 4 server stations. They should be convenient to a service section of tables. So again, like that private dining room will have its own little server station. Your main dining room sections will have your own server station. The bar will probably have their own. And think about where you want to place it so it does not mess up any, it doesn't use valuable space where a wonderful table should be. Usually what you can do is you can set them up in kind of a dead area that doesn't make any sense to have a table. And that you want to have this stocked with all of the requirements so you can cut down on the servers walking back to the kitchen or back into somewhere else to grab more equipment. So it should have a POS system and a credit card machine, maybe water and coffee and tea stations. It could have like the check holders and the tip trays, any tray stands that you might need, linen, flatware, condiments, bus bins, cloth, cleaners, all of the pieces of equipment that a server may need throughout their shift should be in some sort of quantity be located in these service stations. And this is a good example of one. It's tucked away in the corner. It has your little POS station. It has a high chair, a garbage, a bunch of side plates, a bunch of linens, glassware all above, credit card machine, bills, pens, all the cutlery, all the stuff that you need to operate a successful restaurant. And as an example, if you have to go into the back kitchen, you might be adding 20, 30 steps up to a server's daily routine that they have to do that, 50 times throughout the day. And that does add up. Again, a couple different views of it that could happen. Now, it could be a drink dispensary area if it's in the back and out of sight, or it could just be something like this where it's a double server station area. When it comes to washrooms or restrooms, they should be accessible but separate from the dining area. There shouldn't be any lines of sight close to the doors, so if you can tuck it around a corner, that's ideal. You want to place your restrooms also near the kitchen to save you money on plumbing. So they should be fairly located to the back of house area. Should be roomy, not tight and cramped, and often we relate the entryway, the waiting area, and the washrooms with the amount of money we're willing to spend. If it has a dirty washroom, there's no amount of classiness at the table that's going to fix that. So they have to have easy to clean fixtures and finishes, and modern restaurants have now moved away from a gender-specific facility, opting for many single-occupant, non-gender toilets instead. And I think that's a great way of going. So instead of trying to have one bathroom with stalls and one bathroom with a bunch of toilets, instead you're going to have 6 smaller individual, and people feel more comfortable in them. Again, these are some of the floor plans that we looked at previously. Again, now that we've gone through and kind of talked about the different areas of where they're walking in, this here is a vestibule. So they've done kind of a bi-axis door where one door is on the right, next door is on the left. This will stop all the cold weather that's perhaps coming in. They have a little host desk right here, which actually I don't love. I think it should be kind of more in front. And then they have where they can seat them either in that bar side, they can go into the dining room, or they can go into this other area. I would break this down that this place in particular probably has 6 dining areas when I look at it. I'm going to say this is one, this whole booth area, because this can easily be brought in more tables and make it kind of a party room. Your main dining area here, kind of this top bar area, which could be another party table. Your patio, and then you also have the bar itself. You also have, it looks like another little kitchen bar where people would make things right in front of you, perhaps a sushi bar. So almost 7 different dining areas that you would probably classify. As far as restroom regulations go, it's a general requirement that for every 30 women and every 60 men, there's 1 toilet or water closet. Now that we're kind of doing more gender non-specific washrooms, you just go with 30. So if your restaurant has 150 capacity, 5 washrooms make sense. 5 individual small ones. Small establishments, employees, and customer access can be combined, but we want to stay away from that if we can. Your employees should have a different washroom than at your actual customers or your clients. A small food preparation facility that exclusively provides carryout is only required to have an employee restroom, versus restrooms for customers must be acceptable to handicapped persons as well. So either you have, of your 5, let's say you have your 5 individual restaurants, you make them all handicap accessible, or rather you make 1 or 2 of them, which would probably make more sense as far as the cost is pretty steep. Depending on, of course, of the location. If you are a retail commercial restaurant, you have a limited amount of wheelchairs and handy accessible options. If you are long-term care, all of them, might as well make all of them or most of them accessible by that. So this gives you an idea of exactly what a handicap accessible washroom may look like. So you'll have a large door with a door opening surface on that, bars in which they can always use vertical grab bars and horizontal grab bars, the emergency call button in that particular washroom. You will have a toilet that's raised up off the ground, so you have the ability for not only feet to fit in here, but knees to fit up here so they can still wash their hand. And the power door actuator button, which will open the door and allow them this circumference of being able to get back onto any of their devices, a good turning radius of 5 feet, and leave again. And again, just a little bit of an overhead view of the same thing. So when you're designing, your restroom will kind of look like this. And I think using Visio, we can pull in just about everything like that. A little bit more of AODA stuff for you to take a look at as far as heights. Now, we won't really be requiring you for your design to show us we're usually looking at a bird's eye view, so from the top. This is like the side view or the front face view. Now, it's difficult for us to design that way, but just so you know, these will give you some ideas as far as what the height should be based on someone needing to access it using a wheelchair. And then we're going to go into our assignment. So I'm going to leave this particular stuff here in this PowerPoint. We won't be attempting this assignment until week 10. This is week 8. So this will be the assignment which I will go over in class with you. It does give you some good information and supporting material, and as well as some furniture suppliers. So what we'll be doing is creating our own restaurant front of house floor plan with a certain amount of seating, bar, dining area, washrooms, entrance, exit, server stations, as well as some major supporting design features. So I want to see the tables that you have purchased and show me how much money they would cost. So we'll go over that more in detail. I also have more of an inspirational design, front of house design PowerPoint that I'll go through as well right before that. But until then, it's week 8 right now, Tuesday, March 8th. Next Tuesday, Connect 2 Careers Career Fair. That is where you are going. And then the week after that, we'll do our last 10% in-class assignment. Thank you very much for watching this, and we will talk to you soon.